What's up everybody, Commander Sanctum here, and today we have a brand new deck tech using Ygra, Eater of All. Ygra is a 6/6 elemental cat for 3 and Golgari that has Ward, sacrifice a food, other creatures or food artifacts in addition to the other types, and whenever a food is put into a graveyard, put 2 +1/+1 counters on Ygra. Ygra is an extremely powerful commander due to its abilities that make it very easy to abuse. The fact that all other creatures become both food and artifacts makes it so the deck can be built in multiple ways. For this deck tech, we'll be combining a bit of both of them to try to achieve the best results possible. With that, let's get into the card highlights. To start out with, we'll look at abilities that force everyone to sacrifice a creature. This will trigger Ygra's food ability 4 times in a normal pod, giving her a whopping 8 counters. Accursed Marauder, Chain Devil, and Fleshbag Marauder are all such examples, with the first 2 forcing opponents to sacrifice non-tokens, which may or may not be beneficial depending on the situation. Demon's Disciple, Plaguecrafter, and Gravelighter are further examples of this effect, with Demon's Disciple and Plaguecrafter letting you get your opponent's Planeswalkers in certain situations. While this won't trigger Ygra's ability, getting a Planeswalker is still an extremely powerful effect. Rise of the Witch King does the same effect as the previous cards, but this time on a spell instead of a creature. It has the added benefit of getting another permanent back if you sacrificed a creature, which could be one of the previously mentioned creatures to trigger even more sacrifice shenanigans. Grave Pact is excellent because it forces our opponents to sacrifice even more creatures, which simply triggers Ygra even more. While making Ygra huge with all the sacrifice effects is one way to win, it's good to have a backup. Cards that drain our opponent's life whenever a creature or artifact goes to the graveyard is an excellent way to achieve this. Disciple of the Vault will do this whenever an artifact hits the graveyard. Since Ygra makes all creatures food artifacts, this will now trigger for each creature that dies while Ygra is on the battlefield. Blood Artist also does this effect, though it naturally just does creatures. Agent of the Iron Throne triggers for both creatures and artifacts, giving us the most bang for our buck when it comes to our opponents sacrificing things. The 2 Marionettes, Marionette Master and Marionette Apprentice, are also effective ways to achieve this. Like Disciple of the Vault, Marionette Master will now trigger off of every creature of ours that dies, since they're all artifacts, making this an absolute powerhouse since it can be draining 4 life from an opponent per creature. While Marionette Apprentice is only ever 1 life, it's great because it drains each opponent and triggers whenever an artifact or creature of ours dies, meaning it still is effective if Ygra isn't on the battlefield. While Ygra makes all creatures into food, it's important to remember that Ygra's +1/+1 counter ability still does trigger off of the good old normal food tokens as well. Due to this, we can use cards that generate these food tokens or have a triggered ability whenever a food token is sacrificed. Experimental Confectioner and Nuka-Cola Vending Machine are 2 such cards that both generate food tokens and have a triggered ability whenever a food is sacrificed, which is extremely beneficial to us. Peregrine Took is also great because it generates us an additional food token whenever we create one, giving us even more fodder for Ygra. I will say that it is important to be careful with these cards, as they can go infinite with Ygra. If this is not something you're interested in, it may be beneficial to keep them out, or at the very least, keep Peregrine Took out of the deck, as he's the main engine needed for the combo. Tireless Provisioner is another great food generator, especially since it can also create you treasure tokens if you are in dire need of mana. Guillaume Master Chef not only generates you potentially quite a few food tokens every turn, it also gives you a nice food sacrifice outlet, letting you get those counters onto Ygra at instant speed if you have enough mana to activate it. Since all creatures become food artifacts, general creature token generators work really well with Ygra as well. To achieve this, we can use some good Eldrazi token generators, as they not only give us creature tokens, but also built-in sacrifice outlets for Ygra's counters ability. From Beyond and Awakening Zone are great options, as they will generate us Eldrazi tokens each upkeep. Skittering Invasion is a great spell that can net us 5 tokens at once, allowing for a potential 10 +1/+1 counters for Ygra alongside 5 colorless mana return. To supplement Ygra's abilities, we can use some Voltron pieces to make her even stronger. Tarion Soulcleaver is great as it goes along with our sacrifice theme, while Cranioplating is an absolute bomb since all of our other creatures will be artifacts, making Ygra huge. Whispersilk Cloak gives us that added protection for Ygra, while also allowing her to more easily hit our opponents for lethal commander damage. Finally, there are a number of good utility cards that work well with this deck. Knight of the Sweet's Revenge is a multifaceted card, as it generates us food, makes our food into mana dorks, and then allows us to pump all of our creatures based on how many food we have, which, with Ygra out, will be all of our creatures. Viridian Revel is going to be amazing card draw, since we have such a huge sacrifice theme and all of our opponent's creatures will be artifacts. While Bane of Progress will kill all of our creatures other than Ygra, it will completely wipe the board while simultaneously making Ygra massive, allowing us to instantly take an opponent out in most cases. Speaking of allowing Ygra to kill an opponent, Kill Switch is an absolute bomb, as it will allow us to tap all of our opponent's creatures and keep them tapped for as long as we want, allowing us to attack with Ygra freely. Karn the Great Creator will turn off all of our opponent's creatures' activated abilities, even mana abilities, likely severely limiting their use while allowing ours to remain free. Here is an example deck list utilizing all the previously mentioned cards. This includes additional food generators like Greta, Sweet Tooth Scourge, and Savvy Hunter, additional creature token effects like Avenger of Zendikar, and sacrifice-based card draw like Deadly Dispute and Village Rites. I'd also like to point out that there is another combo piece in Kart Clan Ironworks. Again, this is more of a preference thing, so if you're not a big fan of infinite combos, I'd recommend removing it and Peregrine Took and replacing them with something else so you don't accidentally fall into the combo. Ygra, Eater of All is an extremely powerful card and, in my opinion, has the potential to be one of the better Golgari commanders, up there with Marin and Lathril. Ygra synergizes so well with the sacrifice theme that it may even be a bit oppressive at how well you can both advance your board while suppressing your opponents, making them sacrifice their creatures while your commander gets stronger from doing so. That's not even to mention the fact that all the creatures become artifacts, which is extremely easy to abuse in its own right. Alongside that, due to Ygra's unique ability, there are a number of ways to create a combo engine that will win you the game on the spot. If you're looking for a very powerful commander that works well with sacrifice effects in Golgari, Ygra may be one to check out. I suspect that she will become a very popular Golgari commander just due to how powerful she can be made. I hope you enjoyed watching this deck tech on Ygra, Eater of All. The full deck list outlined in this video can be found at the Archidect link at the top of the description. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to drop a like and comment, as well as subscribe to the channel for more Magic content. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.